40 feet away near the timeline. Now Jimmer sizing up Moss. Oh, no. Oh, yes! Oh, yes! For Jimmer.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Jimmer Range podcast. This is episode 27. It's been a while since we've been on here. It has been a while, and a lot has happened. We're here post-NBA draft. We're going to give some reactions. But you'll notice, if you're watching on YouTube or some other video sharing site, that it is not just me and Alex here today. We have a very special guest. Mr. Ryan Hammer has entered the chat. We're very excited to have Ryan with us today. He does a lot of great content over on TikTok. He does a lot of cool stuff for FanDuel too. I'm not sure, Ryan, if you want to plug any of that stuff. His YouTube videos have been really, really good too. So
yes,
I'm trying. I'm doing my best to try to expand outside of TikTok, as you guys can appreciate.
Indeed.
Yeah, we're doing our best to do that as well. We started with this, and then TikTok started popping off, and we're like, all right, well, we'll stay in that lane for a little bit, and then
usually how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're gonna jump right into it. Alex drafted a bunch of very good questions about the NBA draft that he's gonna hit Ryan and I with. More than just your regular winners, losers. Some more in-depth stuff, as we were talking about before the show. So, Alex, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so, I mean, as Carl said, we were trying to stay away a little bit from the winners and losers. Both Ryan and Carl have kind of talked a little bit, not ad nauseum, but have talked about it since the draft on Thursday. So, try to be a little more unique. But, wanted to talk about the Magic first. Just, you can't really avoid the topic. A lot was kind of coming out from their GM. You had the smoke screen, obviously, of it's Jabari for 2 months, and then lo and behold, you take Paolo. So if Paolo was their guy all along, and I get that teams are always going to say X guy was number one on our board because, you can't really say anything else. How impressive is that level of secrecy in the scope of this draft and past cycles? And two, does it affect how y'all will create mocks in the future?
Interesting. Some part of me believes that they were keeping it a secret the whole time. And there's also a really big part of me that thinks they literally just went back and forth for a long time, which happens all the time in sports when we question wow, you guys have had a month and a half to make a decision and now you're changing it up, or you still haven't figured it out. I think it's a real thing. So I go back and forth. I don't know which way I lean on that, but it doesn't I was impressed. I was impressed that if it seemed like they knew the whole time, because no one would change up on draft day. There's just no way they would. There's just no way that would happen. I feel like they knew the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of something that I don't think people realized Orlando also did last year. It's just maybe it didn't get as much shine because it wasn't the first overall pick. But Franz Wagner, they were not showing their cards on Wagner at all. And so it's honestly refreshing to have a draft where we don't know 2 months in advance who the number one overall pick was. And I think just from a narrative standpoint, it followed through right up until draft time.
Mm-hmm.
It could be any one of these guys. And I'm just kind of excited that Woj got put in his place a little bit.
Yeah.
That man has had NBA Twitter in a chokehold for way too long. So
it happened with the Warriors and Raptors too. I noticed I followed every single pick in the first round and through most of the second. Just with Woj on Twitter, and the Warriors and Raptors were the only ones that he didn't tweet out before it happened. So he knows, obviously, and those are the only ones he wouldn't speak to. And to me, those are two of the best run franchises you can think of in the league.
Yeah.
I'm you know what? Maybe they're onto something. Maybe they're just really good at not letting anything get out, which I respect and appreciate a lot.
And call me, and I might be wrong, but I remember when there was that little bit of beef on Twitter. It wasn't between Shams and Woj, it was between but they were talking about how all of Woj's sources seem to be front office execs versus Shams is a little closer with coaches and players. And I don't know, that's a little bit of protege versus master kind of thing. But I don't want to stir the pot. That's just something I'm bringing up. And I did want to, I found this because I was doing a little bit of digging just on what the Magic's process was. And their president of basketball ops, even though, because I thought it was, I was on a plane when Paolo got picked. So my phone just blew up right when I landed. And so I'm seeing all that and obviously I'm shocked, but it was kind of insane to me because they didn't have him in for a workout. They had Jaden, they had Chet, they had Jabari, they had all these guys. They didn't have Paolo in for a workout. And so Jeff Weltman, their president, said they thought they had enough touch points on Banchero without him doing a workout because he played almost 40 games at Duke this season. And then he referred to him as the best player in college basketball last year. So
Do we know for sure that he didn't do a workout?
I thought he didn't do a workout.
He did not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did not.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was ducking the question because like he didn't want people to know whether or not he had one, and they like snuck him in to do one.
No,
He was supposed to do one, and I saw something about how it got canceled or postponed or something where it was on the cards to do it, and then I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they actually did one. Maybe in 5 years they'll find out.
I bet they had guys in at his private workouts, but I don't think he did a workout in Orlando because they just mentioned that he sent in all the preliminary stuff that you need, plus like the personality test, plus all that. So
Alex, you had asked if this would change how we do our mocks.
Yeah.
I think that's a funny question for this cycle because there were the 3 guys who were, the consensus top 3.
Yep.
All 3 of my mock drafts had a different one going number 1 overall. So I had to cover all my bases with that one. I don't know what it would change from a process standpoint other than just we kind of have to go off the information that we have available. Like I said on a show recently that what I like about doing the first mock draft of a cycle is that you don't have all this intel and you can kind of put guys in spot. Like I had Blake Wesley in the lottery in my first mock draft because I was high on Blake Wesley, but eventually you start to learn more things and you realize there's no way this guy's going to go in the lottery. And he ended up going in the late first round. I don't know that it changes anything for me. Maybe it does for Ryan. I
don't think it does change a lot because like kind of like Carl said, like what are we supposed to do about not knowing until the draft? Like it is what it is. But I will say I might trust my gut more. Where like I did not think Jabari was my number 3 prospect. I did not think he should go number 1. And even up to draft day, I'm like I really don't like. I was like, this is crazy how he's going number 1 when I think there's 2 guys that are better than him on the board for that team. But I believed it was going to happen because of everything that we're told. And I think I would trust myself a little more in certain situations, at least like in situations like this, obviously, but not if like, I think someone who's going to go in the late lottery should be number 1. Like you guys know what I'm saying, but it really can't change too much. Cause like, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just annoying, but it's fun. So
correct me if I'm go with your gut,
Correct me if I'm wrong. Both of y'all had Paolo and Chet 1-2 in your big boards for most of the cycle, right?
At the end I did. Mine switched. I started with Chet. I went and I had Jabari for like 3 months and then back to Paolo. I think Chet for like another week or 2 also, somewhere in there in between.
I went back and forth between Paolo and Chet for pretty much the entire time.
Okay. This is in somewhat of like a similar vein to the whole Woj tweeting out day of draft, the order staying the same. What are y'all's thoughts on Javoni changing his mock draft just 3 minutes before it started? Is there a certain level of credibility lost because of that, or is it just kind of appear to like be like over the top, kind of like anal about that kind of thing to like get it right? If you don't want to comment on it,
no, I didn't even know that happened, to be honest. Literally until like we were talking, like I realized that was going to be like I had no idea.
Yeah, the draft started at 8, and he updated the mock at 7:57 to reflect that Paolo was going to be the number 1.
That's BS because he was just going off of everything that was going on Twitter, and that does make him lose credibility 100% in my eyes.
Yeah,
because he's supposed to be like the source for draft stuff.
Yeah,
out the window.
Yeah, I would agree. As a mock draft purist, that's a big no-no. I don't think you can change your mock draft. Like that's like if I went back in to my mocks and just edited them to be more accurate after the fact.
Right. It's like Joe Lenardi is a good example where like Joe Lenardi talks to everybody that's on the selection committee. He knows everybody in the world to be able to predict brackets very, very well. Yep. And I just like, if he, for whatever, switch out a bubble team for another team that's out and in, like within like 5 minutes of the show, and like, really didn't like go crazy about it. Just did it to make sure he was right. Like that'd be BS and be like, okay, well, you were wrong. That doesn't count as you being right. Like you were wrong.
Yeah. And so related, obviously Schmitz is now in the Portland front office. Do you think ESPN's draft coverage takes a dip?
Yeah, until they hire one of us.
Yeah. The weird thing is, like, I think in terms of quality, it absolutely takes a dip, but I never felt like ESPN really gave Schmitz that big of a platform. I never
Yeah.
thought he was used to the extent that his talent probably should have been.
Mhm.
So I think he's, first of all, absolute banger of a hire by the Portland front office, because I think he's really good at what he does. But I don't know that ESPN's, at least, outward facing kind of NBA draft content necessarily takes that big of a hit.
Yeah, I would agree for the most part. I do think the quality definitely takes a dip. Especially we know like Javoni's content on TikTok, and we see. I'm not trying to like take a jab at it, but like Schmitz never did TikTok stuff anyway. But his stuff is so unique too. Like he connects with the players very well. He understands them on like a personal level, which I always appreciated. Like at the combine when he pulls them aside and like talks to them, I think that stuff is so cool. And I just feel like maybe I don't know. And now this whole thing with the mock being all weird at the top, and honestly all over, I saw spots where he was like completely off on. Maybe like Schmitz had more input than people know about, and like they definitely never use him enough. I 100% agree with that.
Devoni's TikTok content always makes me laugh because it sounds like the mic is like
It's like
straight up like yeah.
You ever read the comments too?
Yes, they just repeat it. They repeat it. They repeat it. They repeat what he's saying.
Like I hope you realize like people follow him. Like he has like 80, 90,000 followers for a reason. But like at the same time, like so many people are like just don't like care because of that. It's like almost like a parody thing at this point. I feel bad, but they need some edits there.
Yeah. I'd like a little bit of just a little bit of inflection in his voice when he's doing a scouting report. Like it's so monotone. Like please give me some energy. Like
I'm with you.
Oh, anyway, you both have had a few days to sit on the results of the draft and everyone's landing spots. Is there any team you're higher or lower on than in like the 24 hours that followed the draft?
I'd say the Nuggets for me. I was low at first.
Okay.
I love Christian Brown. Love the pick. Love the pick. They traded up for 30 and they took Peyton Watson. And whether that was the guy they wanted or not, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is unbelievable right now.
Yeah.
And then they took Kamagate, who I like, but I didn't like for them. But then I started to understand it more. And the Peyton Watson pick, someone yesterday opened my eyes to this. Maybe that they got such a safe pick and an instant impact, high impact player in Christian Brown that they were able to take a huge swing at 30 on someone like Peyton Watson. So I kind of understand it more. I don't think that they're like this crazy winner of the draft now. I just don't think they had a bad draft, is per se, at least.
That's fair. Carl?
I didn't include the Oklahoma City Thunder in my initial list of draft winners. And I've been going back and forth on whether or not to kind of slide them in there now that I've looked at it a little bit. Because I do like the Chet pick. Like he was obviously one of the top two on my big board. I think picking up Usman Dieng was big because I was pretty high on his potential as well. But I don't know that I like a draft class that's all of these like big swing, like, kind of high rise, like fast risers towards the end of the process type of guys. Like people weren't really talking about Jiang as like a lottery pick until maybe the couple weeks leading up to the draft. At least I didn't see very much stuff. Like Jalen Williams was a late type of guy. I'm not super high on the Arkansas Jalen Williams and what his impact looks like in the NBA because I think he's a flop merchant and some other things, but
got a high motor.
Oh yeah, high motor. Yeah, high motor.
Flop merchant. Led the nation in charges. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, because they don't know how to officiate the charge correctly.
Don't get Arkansas fans mad at us, please.
I know you're right.
We have
a lot of goodwill built up with the Arkansas fans. Didn't Eric Musselman like retweet one of our tweets or something?
I know that was insane.
He's the best person on Twitter ever.
He rocks.
He really is the best head coach on Twitter.
He goes back to like starting lineup against like Georgia in January, and he'll just be like, going into this game like 5 months ago, I really thought that we were gonna like. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what?
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure what to think of the Thunder, and then so that's one where I was high on it initially, and then kind of like am kind of questioning myself a little bit. One where I was questioning myself initially, and now I'm high on it is the Grizzlies, because I was like, David Roddy in the first round, like, what are you doing? But I've like sold myself on it. And I like Jake LaRavia, and I like Kennedy Chandler, and I think that's a really fun class. Even Vince Williams, like he's definitely a real sleeper. Like not a lot of people were talking about his upside because he's a 4-year college guy, and people don't really like the 4-year college guys. A lot of people thought Jake LaRavia was a 4-year college guy for a while until they finally updated his age to reflect that he's actually 20 years old. But I do like the Grizzlies class now looking at it after the draft.
I will quickly say I think it was maybe just what was crazy, obviously just the 13th overall pick and the drama of that. But I think my fandom for both Duke and the Hornets kind of blinded me for about 12 hours after the draft. And as I woke up the next morning and was thinking about it, Mark Williams is always kind of going to be there at 15 because obviously the Cavs don't need a center. So you didn't. And so after I tried to rationalize that it's okay that you traded the 13th overall pick to another budding young franchise for a first overall next year and 4 second rounders, I can't anymore. I don't know what Jordan was doing. Obviously, people were ahead of that before me, but I just think I was in a state of euphoria for 9 hours or so, and just it kind of fell apart. And I'm not high on Bryce McGowan. I know, Ryan, you are. So I don't know. I saw him in person twice this year. I like the guy. I liked his high school tape. I just didn't. And I get the usage at Nebraska and Hoiberg, and it's a bad system. And I understand all of that. I'm just not. I think what did it for me was EJ Liddell was there at 41 or at right there at 40. And if you have concerns that Miles Bridges is going to leave for Detroit, just pick up a power forward that you can kind of plug and play. So I don't know.
Fair point.
On the Mark Williams thing, Alex, I actually had a question for you because at the point where Charlotte still had the 2 first rounders, and they traded the one, Jalen Duren was still there. And I think they were assuming with all I was hearing stuff that, Mark Williams was their guy. He was their guy.
He was, yeah.
But was that assuming that Duren wasn't going to be there?
I think so.
So do you still think that they made the right call in taking Williams, even though they could have taken somebody who they might have thought was a higher prospect who might not have been there?
I don't know. I think I got to take a step back because I watched Williams in every game he played this season, and I think I watched Memphis 6 times. And so I think I've seen Mark more. And so I think I've bought, and I have to also separate that I'm a fan. So I'm going to always, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Duren is the better prospect, but I think I've convinced myself that Mark Williams is good enough as a lob threat and just on the interior because the Mason Plumlee experiment failed that it's solid. I just think that front office was confused why Duren was there at 13 and then clearly tried to throw something together that 4 or 5 days later looks horrendous.
He's definitely good enough. But that's the key. I agree with that. But that means they settled. And I do think they settled.
Correct.
If Duren would have went at 9 to the Spurs or 11
to the Knicks, whatever, it would have been fun.
They would have taken Mark at 13, would have traded away 15. They would have done the same exact thing, but it would have made a lot more sense. And people would be okay, great. They got the center. They couldn't have gotten Duren. I was baffled that they were you know what, we're going to stick with our guy here. But I can respect it a little bit at least.
And they didn't dump Hayward's contract.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
We'll see.
We'll see I wanted that to be settled on draft night.
There were no trade. There were literally no fun trades.
Yeah, there wasn't. You're right. So kind of.
Hey, Danny Green got traded.
True.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
So fun. So fun.
He's trending after every Sixers game. There's something that comes with that. So I don't know.
Point.
Going from the East Coast to the West Coast. I don't know why I said course. Sacramento, obviously notorious for picking a guy before the guy. ESPN dropped that graphic right before they selected. Could very well happen again. Is there something to be said about fit over talent? Because I don't know. It's not like Keegan Murray is a slouch. So, or does this feel eerily similar to where past Sacramento mistakes, i.e. Luka taken after Bagley?
I think it's going to be, but not to that extent.
Okay.
I actually people think I hate Keegan Murray because I called the Kings one of the losers, and I took a shot at them, I guess, whatever, many people have for good reasons. But I think I like Keegan at 6 or 7, very high on my board. He's going to be good in the NBA. His floor is really high. He's going to be a really good second or third option long-term, scoring 15, 16 a game on a good team. But Jaden Ivey is it. If you can go for fit when you're in a position to do that, which the Kings are not. And like, I think they're just so desperate to literally just be a top 8 seed. That's literally all they want to do. And it's funny, but like, if they make the playoffs, all their issues are gone, and their fans can rejoice and be like, great. And then they're not looked at as bad, even though it's the same thing. I just think like passing up on the potential of a star potential for someone who fits your team now to quote unquote win now, you're not even a playoff caliber team, you're sacrificing the wrong things. So
yeah, I get the idea that people wouldn't have liked, it was kind of a like they can't do anything right in this situation, because if they took Ivy, people would have been like, you always take a guard, like you have so many guards, like take a forward. But also like I would rather have Jaden Ivey than Davion Mitchell. So like I would take
Davion is a
Jaden
six
Ivey,
man too. Like Davion is a long-term 6-man. Perfect.
right. Like this isn't a Tom Thibodeau team where you're only running 5 guys out there for 40 minutes a game. You have a bench that you can use. I like the Keegan fit. Like I think he'll be a solid long-term contributor on both ends of the floor. The thing with me isn't even that I don't like the pick. It's that I don't think they maximized the situation that they were in, especially because we know people were calling the Pistons even after they picked Ivy, trying to trade for him. Like I know the Knicks were in play. There were probably some other teams who were picking up the phone. So I don't understand, if the demand was so high, how they don't find at least something. Because I think Murray, if they trade down to 5, if they trade down to 6, maybe they still get Keegan Murray. I don't know. I feel like they didn't maximize the situation. I think they still could have gotten Keegan Murray and then maybe a little more value there, but it was just a tough situation for them to be in. But I agree with Ryan that I don't think it'll be remembered as badly as maybe some of the other ones.
I get that.
It's funny you mentioned Marvin Bagley, though, because at the time I was pretty high on that pick. I thought Marvin Bagley was going to be a stud.
I did too, in fairness, but live and you learn.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's okay.
Kings also notably not good at player development. But
yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
They're not good at a lot of things. So
no, very true.
Just
very
add
true.
that to the list.
Yeah. Staying on the West Coast, Shaedon Sharpe to the Blazers at 7. There was a lot of question marks about where he was going to go in the lottery. Thoughts? I guess we'll start there.
I never loved Shaedon Sharpe a ton. Like I think people think he has like the highest ceiling ever because they don't know a lot about him. So they think that he could be something amazing. I really think that's what it is. And like, that doesn't mean he has a high ceiling. It just means you don't know jack shit. And like, I don't know. Like from whatever everybody can tell, I just don't buy into it a ton. I can definitely see him being good and like maximum like Jaylen Brown down the road at his very, very, very peak ceiling. But I know Dame liked him. That's probably why they made the pick. I think it's risky and they're not going to win anything anyway. So.
Yeah, I know Schmitz was high on him as well. So it kind of made some sense that he was the guy there. I agree. I think people saw that Shaedon Sharpe was the number 1 player in his class, which that's a whole different discussion. I think that was really fraudulent too. But they see that and people just make things up about him. People are like, he's so like bursty. Like, no, he's not. He's not bursty at all. His handle's fine, but he's not beating a ton of guys off the dribble. He's great vertical athleticism. The guy can jump out of the gym, but he's not shifty. Like he's not making guys, fall over or anything like that. I like the shot making. I think like that's a cool trait to have. I don't like the propensity to just chuck up like tough shots, because if that's your big thing is making tough shots, I don't know that that's a good like thing to have be your thing, because that means you're taking a lot of tough shots too.
Good point,
to where people notice. I don't know. I think putting him alongside Damian Lillard, that that's fun. I think he'll learn some stuff. Anthony Simons. I just don't. I've never been on the Shaedon Sharpe train because I'm someone who likes having evidence and logic, and
there's not a ton
making things up. And I think a lot of the discourse about him was not necessarily rooted in reality. So
And so Ryan, you did mention how they're not really like in a win now situation. This question may be moot with Kyrie opting into his cushy $37 million deal. But if something happens in the Brooklyn front office and there's a trade package sent to Portland for Kevin Durant, is Shaedon Sharpe included in that package?
If there's an offer, he has to be. It won't first of all, they think they're going to win now, and they are, because if I had Damian Lillard and he only had 3, 4, 5 years left to play, honestly,
Window's closing.
I would do whatever I can. But what they adding Jeremy Grant makes them no better than an 8 seed. I don't know what the hell that does, but I get it's a step. It's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get whatever. I don't really care. The KD stuff, I never believed that anything was going to happen. I thought maybe Kyrie would go, but I thought that where would KD go? Maybe the Suns or maybe Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought Portland was going to be a real destination for him, but I guess I don't think we'll ever know. There will never be an offer. We'll never hear of anything, sadly.
I'd like to stir the pot just because the Athletic was coming out with some stuff immediately when rumors that the downfall of Brooklyn was commencing, that a source close to the Athletic said that if there was going to be a trade, you'd have to look at the Anthony Davis trade from 3 years back when he moved from the Pelicans to the Lakers, start there, and then work your way up.
I hate sources so much.
So 3 first-round picks and 3 budding young stars. One budding young star, a good point guard, and a solid role player.
It'd be like they would have to send Simons, Shaedon, and someone, and then picks probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin Durant's 33, 34 too.
Exactly. That's
2 years of KD.
That's the thing. That was Anthony Davis. That's what I think that's a 7-year age gap. When we're talking about when we're making these trades,
right?
Portland would have to I think you'd lose Jeremy Grant and one of Shaedon Sharpe or Anthony Simons, if not both, plus picks. And so then your core is Dame,
and
KD,
it's the same thing they have in the Nets.
Nurkic.
Same issue they have in the Nets. Yeah.
You're not beating the Warriors. You're not beating the Suns. Maybe you beat the Suns if they lose 8.
They wouldn't win. They wouldn't win anything with what they would have to give up. I agree.
It's fair. All right. Next up, I'll break this into the 4 questions that it is. Who is the player with the best fit for their development inside the lottery?
I'll go with the easy answer, and Jeremy Sohan. He couldn't be more of a Spurs player. I love him. You guys know that. I'm very happy he's on the Spurs because that's a great place to be for development purposes. And that man is a breadwinner. He's very humble. He understands the game a lot from a lot of different aspects. And he's just going to fit right in, especially if they trade DeJounte and go full rebuild. He is really going to have a lot of time, patient development system to flourish and work on his jumper and work on his mechanics, not just the intangibles, which the Spurs team can also help with. And I think it's literally perfect.
I would probably agree if it's a question of development. Also, probably if it's a question of fit, because that Spurs roster is rough. Oh my word, that Spurs roster
is it that rough. Bad? Is it really that bad? With their current DeJounte?
I mean, it's DeJounte. Who
wasn't DeJounte going to Atlanta?
I hope so.
Yeah, he would like that, wouldn't you?
I hope so.
I've never been totally sold on. The big thing for me was Sohan, which my narrative that I was peddling around was that Tari Eason clears Jeremy Sohan.
Rude.
Take.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. I just was never quite sold on Sohan's offensive upside. I totally get him defensively. The guy's a nightmare on defense. Can guard 1 through 5. He doesn't miss a rotation. He's great on ball, great off ball. I get that. I totally get that. The offensive stuff, I'm not totally there yet. And maybe I'm just not as good of a scout as some other people, and they're seeing stuff that I'm not. But in San Antonio, I think that's the spot. If there's ever going to be offensive stuff with him, that's the spot that's going to get it out of him. So I do like Sohan to the Spurs.
All right. Who in the lottery has the most questionable fit?
Most questionable fit in the lottery? Anyone, Kyle? You have anyone on your mind? Now I'm thinking I don't know if I hate any fit really that much, but I'm trying to think of who I don't like the most. Are you terms in development, or you're saying just in general?
I'll let you pick either because this one's tough.
That's fair. The Jalen Williams one I didn't fully get. I know
Okay.
they're just going for upside and talent.
Mhm.
But like Trey Mann is going to be their second unit guy. I get that. Giddy is not a 3.
Yeah.
He's going to play 1 and 2, and Shea's going to be the other 1 or 2. They're both going to play, and they have Trey Mann, and they traded up to get Ousmane Dieng. You could basically say they traded up to get Jalen Williams too. It's kind of like the same thing. They traded up in general to get both of them together.
Yeah.
And Jalen, like, I don't know. I just fear that he's never going to get even on that team, the burn he needs to like
Enough touches.
really start cooking early. And that's a lot of guys to touch the ball. You need secondary and tertiary handlers and second unit guys, but like Jalen Williams can be much more than a second unit guy next to Trey Mann. So I don't know. That one definitely took me by surprise.
Yeah, I also don't hate any of these. I just have minor questions about how the Cavs are going to use Ochai.
Mhm.
Because like, does that just mean you're kind of giving up on Isaac Okoro? Are you running Igbaji at the 2? You still have Karis LeVert, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not quite sure what his role looks like on that team, because I like him as I think he can provide an impact similar, maybe not quite to the extent, but similar to what Desmond Bane did for the Grizzlies. But I liked him more in maybe some different situations. Like I liked him in Charlotte. I think that would have been fun.
Yeah, it would have.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking for something, but
Would have been fun.
I don't know. That's kind of like I'm really reaching here because I don't hate any of these.
It was a solid lottery. So now I'll give you 75% of the draft large pool. Who outside the lottery has like who you just love it for their fit or development, and you can't say Patrick Baldwin Jr.
I was literally gonna say him.
Dang it!
That was one of the guys. Like it could be.
It's
better.
Baldwin. Like it. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a big winner.
I'll go Marjon then. Marjon Beauchamp, 24 to the Bucks.
Yeah.
Love the length and athleticism on him with the Milwaukee. Like they breed guys like that at this point. They've tried and they have failed in the past with guys like Thon Maker and stuff like that. After Giannis started taking strides, they were like, "Oh my God, we need 3 Giannis's. We need Thon Maker." Like that's what they were doing. And Marjon's completely different skill set than these kind of guys, but similar freakish length and athleticism and stuff. And you can work on the other parts of the game and building his body and stuff like that. And obviously his story, I think you guys know that, like his story is awesome and stuff. So it's really cool to see. And he is so ready to like win and contribute to winning. Like couldn't be better in my opinion.
I really like Andrew Nembhard's fit on the Pacers. I think that's awesome. I think he can step in from day one and contribute, especially if they're getting rid of Malcolm Brogdon, which has kind of been not really a secret for a while now that they were looking to move off of him. So if that's really the case, then I really like Nembhard's fit on the Pacers. I also like Ty to Houston because otherwise they were going to be rolling with KPJ as their point guard, and I don't think anybody really wants that.
Rockets fans want it. I don't know why, but they want it.
They really don't. They think they do. They don't.
On Twitter, they do. I swear.
They definitely do on Twitter.
KPJ, Jalen Green, our duo of the future. I'm like, good luck winning 10 games.
The amount of edits I saw for KPJ, Jalen Green, insert one of the top 3. Yeah, there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I just think Ty has a good path to being a primary ball handler on that team, especially given the state of their rebuild right now.
Yep, I agree.
Before we move on to the next question, is there anyone you think has like a questionable fit? You're like worried. You're like they got drafted. You're like,
David Roddy.
Really?
I'm a David Roddy stan, Mountain West stan as well. So I was excited to hear his name, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's the Grizzlies. They traded up. They have so many wings, and like they traded Mellon, who's a guard, but like all these guys they have behind, like and with Dylan Brooks and stuff like that, and like they didn't need to trade up for him in the first place, but like he's not going to get anywhere near the PT he needs. And they traded up for him in the mid to late first, like early 20s to get him. Like, I feel for him a little bit. Like it's great for him. He's going to get his bag too, first round bag, but like, I don't know. It's just a little questionable. I don't think he's going to get more than like anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes a game in his rookie year, like at best. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd say mine would be You're giving me another chance to slander Max Christie, and I'm not going to take the bait on that. I
saw that TikTok.
I'm a staunch Max Christie disrespecter over here. I'm going to go with Peyton Watson because I think he was the first rounder with the lowest points per game ever.
3, right? 3
something like that.
Like,
What?
That's good. I was saying it's like 3 points a game, right? He scored.
I think it's 3.3.
Like that. And with all of the guys that the Thunder are bringing in, they drafted. Or wait, no, it's not the Thunder.
The Nuggets. Yeah.
Oh, the Nuggets. Where does he fit in on the Nuggets? What is he going to do? I don't know what he's going to do on that team. They're a contending team with guys coming back from injury, especially. Plus, they have Christian Brown now. I just don't see what. I guess you take a flyer on him because he's late in the first round.
6'8", 7 foot wingspan. Let him cook.
Yeah,
I'll give you a hot take real fast. I just realized this. Undrafted free agent for the Nuggets, Colin Gillespie, will play more NBA minutes in his career for the Nuggets than Peyton Watson.
I like that.
I'll take that. I don't disagree with that in the slightest.
I mean, well, based on the numbers and where they went, it's a hot take, but I'll stand on it for sure.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, all right. Next one. Duke's 5 picks. And
you did write this question, didn't you?
I did write this question. Yes, I did.
What about the Maryland picks? Come on.
Yeah.
Listen, I tried.
Where are they?
Duke's 5 picks. In the great grand scheme of things, how impressive a feat is that? Without trolling as Maryland fans, does it harm or taint Coach K's legacy, especially how they exited the Final Four? And how much does it say about how hard it is to win the NCAA tournament?
We'll get the draft part out of the way because the other stuff seems more fun. I
don't
think
it is more fun.
It hasn't happened since
it hasn't happened.
Cat got drafted like 2015, I think it was. It was Cat Booker, Willie Cauley-Stein, and I think it was Trey Lyles.
I think it was the 2012 Wildcats.
Whatever it was,
5.
there was 4 of them in the lottery. I think.
Yeah,
Cat got drafted and Booker.
That's insane.
Which is insane. Like it is a big feat, and I don't know. I don't like. We can keep going on the questions and stuff like that, but it doesn't do anything for Coach K's legacy, in my opinion, at all.
Yeah.
I don't know he had talented players like he always does. And I don't think that part, how they went out sucks no matter what, whether you get 8 guys drafted in the top 10, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're Coach Cal. So
was that Kentucky team the one that there was the Sports Nation graphic about whether or not?
Yes, it was. Well,
that team was that the Bobcats?
No, that Sports Nation graphic would the 2014-15 Kentucky Wildcats beat the 96 Bulls?
No.
I swear
it was that bad.
I swear it was. Would they beat the 96 Bulls?
Okay, yeah, you're probably that's great.
Well, now I gotta go find it.
In Lexington, Kentucky, they would. At Rupp Arena.
Yeah. I don't think I agree. This doesn't really change anything for me about Coach K's legacy or anything like that. I mean, the big knock to his legacy is you lost twice to your rivals in the biggest 2 games of your entire career.
When you were significantly better.
Yeah, right. When you had significantly more talent. They didn't have anybody drafted last I checked. 0 draft picks. Brady Manick would have been the 60th pick if there was a 60th pick, but unfortunately there wasn't. Yeah, I don't know.
What was the last part of the question too? It was
the last part was how much does it say about how hard it is to win an NCAA tournament?
It says that you can't win off high recruits and high ranked recruits, and that's why Arkansas is not going to win this year. Like the stuff like that. I think it says more about that than just it's really difficult to win. It's definitely super difficult to win, and Duke losing to teams like North Carolina and teams that don't have any NBA talent going far, that proves that just as much. So it definitely enhanced it, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I've always said the NCAA tournament is the hardest championship to win in sports because you're playing 6 single elimination games against increasingly better competition.
Yep.
In a short time frame. Like the first 2 games you're playing in the span of 3 days. The second 2 games you're playing in the span of 3 days. We saw how it affected North Carolina. Their guys, they were running the same 5 guys out there, and Puff Johnson was throwing up on the court. And they were just all going down with injuries at the very end because they were spent.
There was also a floorboard, but
Nah,
Baycott got hurt because of a floorboard. But
true. But
everyone else was gassed. Yeah.
yeah, but the point is, it's a very hard championship to win, Alex. It's very, very difficult, even if you are an extremely talented team like Duke was. Is that all you wanted me to say? That Duke is a very talented team?
No, I really wanted to have this conversation.
Yeah.
The Maryland Duke rivalry will be back. It will be back this year, and you guys will bring me on the show.
The amount of times Carl and I have texted about that is actually probably problematic.
Shire's open to it, apparently. So
I'm so annoyed that we got Louisville for the ACC Big Ten Challenge. We just played them last year.
Win more games.
I don't want to play those guys again.
Don't lose to Northwestern. I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, that was a cheap shot. That was your own cheap shot.
Like you can't lose to Boo Boo and Chase on Teach. Like I don't.
No,
I'm sorry.
Pete Nance.
Yeah, we lost to Pete
Nance. It was
Pete
Nance, but who
we lost to North Carolina Tar Heel Pete Nance.
Yeah, just like you guys. All right, just like Duke did.
All right. So I did my research on this one. This actually took a long time. 8 of the 15. There was 8 AP All-Americans taken in the lottery this year, which is the most since the 1999 draft. 2019 had 7. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit because I thought I'd be done. I was like, oh, it's the most since like 2019. And then I had to keep going, which was unfortunate. But that 99 draft had 9 All-Stars and 1 future Hall of Famer, but that was Manu in the second round. Do you or could you see a similar fate for this draft?
Boncaro shouldn't have been All-American. I just want to add that.
Wait, what?
I said Boncaro shouldn't have been All-American, so that's okay.
What do you mean? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, not the question. I think I could see a lot of Actually, I don't think they'll be able to get like 7 All-Stars like that, consistent guys especially.
Yep.
I look at the guys, I see a lot of like elite role players. Like Sohan's a really good example where like I love him, but like he's never gonna be a 20, 25 and like 8 guy. Like it's not gonna happen.
Can you imagine?
That's what I'm saying.
That's so funny.
He'd be great. He'd be winning MVP because he'll be winning DPOY also. So if he's scoring 25 points a game, he will be winning MVP.
Jeremy Sohan.
Jeremy Sohan for MVP, exactly. I don't see that happening. I see a lot of maybe a couple
it's secondary stars
one time.
To me.
Yeah, like Keegan's a good example. Even like Ivy and stuff like that, I see being like next decade forever.
Yep.
So
a lot of people have talked about this draft class like it's really weak. I just think it's less top heavy than other drafts have been. Like the second round to me was loaded. Usually the second round is kind of lame. There's not a lot of guys who you think can really do anything. This second round, I think there's a lot of guys who could end up with a lasting, role, whether that's on the bench or otherwise in the NBA. Like probably 10 to 12 of those guys I really like, especially where they're going. I don't know that this will have, a ton of all-stars or a ton of, high outcome guys, but I think it's a very deep draft in terms of the level of talent that you're getting from a guy, whether it's at the 20th pick or the 40th pick. Like EJ Liddell went 41, and I think he can definitely have a long-term NBA career.
Yeah. What I wrote down in my notes is I don't think, to me, even the guys selected 1, 2, 3, I'm not convinced any of them can be like a number 1 on a team. And I don't think that's a hot take. I'm sure other people have said that. But if I'm thinking of people that could make an all-star appearance, have 1 or 2, really like have a peak at like 23 a game and get a couple extra votes. Like I think it's Ivy, I think it's Paolo, I probably think it's Chet, and then maybe like upside, maybe scoring upside. I see like Mathurin and Johnny Davis, but I don't see like a ton. I think maybe 3-4 all-stars from this class, if that.
And then Ousmane Dieng is going to be the next Giannis.
You're right. My apologies. 5 all-stars.
I'm with you though. Like I keep going down the list too, and I'm like, wow, like I really don't think any of these guys are going to score more than like 25 a game. Like there's not going to be that many that score like 25 a game. Yeah.
Wait, I had a question. I forgot about this when we were talking about like kind of weird fits. I want to hear what Ryan thinks about AJ Griffin's fit on the Hawks.
Oh yes, love it.
Y'all know I didn't love AJ Griffin as a prospect as much as everyone else. Like I was never trying to like trash him and stuff like that, and like trying to be mean because like I don't do that to anybody. I just don't think he was like a top 5, 6, 7 prospect like people did just because of his youth. I see a lot of limitations, injury issues, which were clearly a concern. The reason he fell very far, but there's no way the Hawks are going to pass on him. I'm a little nervous, but like he has that really high floor because he's such a lethal shooter. And pairing him, like the way the Hawks offense is run right now through Trey and a bunch of shooters around and then a couple lob threats and pick and roll threats, AJ literally just slot in like Kevin Huerter is. I think it's really easy to put him in. Now that offense is not how we're going to win any more games because clearly it was a problem this year. But in the short term, like it's a seamless fit. You really can't give me a team where AJ doesn't fit on because he's not a really good outside shooter. Like maybe a team that like really needs perimeter defense, which the Hawks need, but they also, I don't know, maybe like the Hornets who's like, okay, like do they really need him? What are they going to do with him? I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Quick outlook on next year. This was the one I was really excited for, so I'm glad I saved this one. To what extent is it really Victor Wembanyama and everybody else? Is there a reality where Scoot Henderson, Nick Smith, the Thompson twins, or someone else gets into that number one overall discussion? Or is it Victor regardless of fit?
The Thompson twins will definitely not be there. After both OTE guys went undrafted this year, I'm very confident. I don't care what they do. If they're with OT next year, they're not going in the top 2, no matter what.
Okay.
Scoot,
ESPN's pushing that agenda. They were both in that top 5, I think, in their mock.
Good luck to when OT and ESPN announce like some kind of partnership in like 3 months, we'll know why.
They're playing in the TBT.
Yeah, I do look forward to it. I'm
gonna watch it. It's gonna be fun.
Right, but like against like Jimmer Fredette, when Amen Thompson dumps on
He's
Jimmer,
back.
Right?
The
Like
namesake.
when that happens, oh yeah, well, that's rude of me not to realize that. When that, I don't know, it doesn't like propel them the TBT and stuff. That scouts will be there to watch them, but Scoot. All right, Nick Smith's a good example. If Nick Smith or like Derek or someone like that, like absolutely goes off scoring like 20 something a game in college, like has like ridiculous numbers, like Trey Young level college numbers, almost not that to 27-9, like almost, then they're going to be like, okay, we're taking him like 2 or maybe 1. It's more on Victor. Like he had a couple of injury issues towards the latter of the season this year. That's going to be what tears him down, not other people playing really well. It's a combo really, but if Scoot goes off in the G League again and just does better and takes bigger strides, more efficient, then people will consider it if a team needs a guard because like they are such different players. Like that's the only reason why it could happen. I think if Scoot goes really, really, really off and Victor has some injury issues throughout the year, he doesn't really like take those strides that we need to. He averaged like 8 points a game last year, I think, or something like that in EuroLeague. Like there's little things like that maybe scouts will consider, but as long as he's healthy and like medical reports are fine and he's playing well and doing what he needs to, like there's no way you don't take like the tallest person I've ever seen in my entire life, the longest stick ever. There's no way they don't take him on.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a sense of what Overtime Elite's schedule is? Because I've never really. Did they just play scrimmages like against themselves?
They play scrimmages. I believe they have 3 teams. They played scrimmages against those teams. Like they broke them up fairly evenly, I believe. And I know they played against post-grad teams.
They played against other teams like out there in the wild. Like basically like there might as well be exhibitions, but for them, it's like a big deal. Obviously, when you're like, oh, they're playing at a random prep school or high school, whatever.
Yeah.
The competition is not any better because they would win a lot of those games. Like, and when they play each other, they have a little tournament at the end. They call it the playoffs. The playoffs from the regular season from 3 teams that basically like the 1 seed gets a bye into the finals and then 2 plays 3 to get into the finals with 1.
Yeah. To me, I don't know. This is just when I was in high school. I was following a lot of it. To me, it's like when that like LaMelo and Julian Newman hype really like peaked in 2018 in their like high school league. And it's like, I think the players are better. So I think it's like, or I think the players are better. Maybe they're not. I thought they were.
They're not better than Julian Newman in the league is toast.
You're right. You're right.
No shot.
You're right. No shot. But I think it's a bigger, or at least it's definitely a better funded league than that.
They might be burning cash though at the same time. They probably are.
I think they are, but they have a lot. Aren't like Bezos and KD and et cetera?
They have a lot of, they got big money.
Yeah.
They got the money.
I don't know. The Thompson twins are interesting. If the OT didn't put them in the TBT and give them all these opportunities and like really expose them like they are, like starting this past year, they would be gone right now. They would be in the G League Ignite, in my opinion, and they would be absolutely like they'd be doing something else. I don't know, overseas, which I am curious though. I do want them to stay at OT because I want to see what the GMs think of, front offices think of guys like these two brothers coming from the OTE, like tearing up the OTE, and you got real top prospects. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a test case for Overtime Elite because I've been a big G League guy for a while. I think that's such a great pathway. And if OTE wants to rival the Ignite team, they're going to have to put up way better showings than they did on draft night just recently. That was not great for them, I don't think. But I don't know. All the Victor hype is just so weird to me after all the trashing of Chet Holmgren for being skinny, but now it's like, oh, this French guy, like, yeah,
But he's French.
We really like
Right.
him. Yeah.
It goes back to the Shady and Sharp thing. People don't know, like 98% of people don't know enough about Victor to be like, oh, he's not good. They're just kind of like, wow, this is kind of exciting. Where Chet, they watch every weekend and they're like, I'm watching him, but even though he's amazing, I'll buy it.
Can I'm gonna start the nickname Baguette Holmgren. That's his new nickname. So I'm gonna start saying
I love it
and stuff. Baguette Holmgren.
Just tag, hashtag everything.
I don't know. I'm gonna just start narratives because we can just spread all this draft misinformation. So Terquavion Smith, number 1 overall pick narrative starts here. He's gonna average 30 for the worst team in the ACC, and that's gonna kickstart it. So I don't know. I don't really feel like I have a good sense of the 2023 class right now, to be honest with you. It does seem like right now it's Victor and everybody else, but we'll see.
My board literally says Victor, Scoot, and then there's a tier break, and then there's a list of like 25 players so far.
It's good.
It's a good start.
Means 20 teams could hit.
It's true.
Hit on their guy.
Not saying that. Julian Strother on your board?
He's on the he's toward the bottom. Okay. There are a few college guys that I need to go more of the college guys that are like that were like in and out and stuff like that. But he's on there, yeah.
Okay.
Is Caleb Love in there?
No.
Such an enigma. I do not know. That dude.
He'll be on here.
Caleb Love, when he plays Duke,
he was an enigma to Mark Williams too, believe it or not.
What?
He was an enigma to Mark Williams too.
He really was, dude. Caleb. I was telling somebody this. Caleb Love in the 6 games he's played Duke, top 10 player of all time. Like I don't know what it is, but
probably he's up there with 26.
He's up there with Hoodie Mello and Masked Kyrie and
not even Hoodie Mello, like Olympic Mello. Kind of Jersey Tug Kobe. Like he's up there. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, they're one of those videos on TikTok. Who are they? I followed them back recently. Esquire Sports. I don't know who they are, but some kids. They do those. Here are the 10 best NBA players of all time, and it'll be like stupid stuff like that, or like like Devin Booker when he like drives this car into the stadium or something. Stuff like that. And that's where Caleb Love belongs.
It is. It is definitely where he belongs.
It's pretty sweet. All right.
Yeah.
We wrapping it up.
That's everything
on this.
I think we are.
All right, sweet. Thank you. Big thank you to Ryan for joining us today, taking
course.
time out of his day to hop on the pod. Hope to have him back on in the future when Jeremy Sohan is winning MVP and averaging 30 and 15 for the Spurs.
Or Maryland and Duke have the rivalry renewed. We're actually going to go. Let's just go down there wherever it is.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
In. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I have the money for that, but I'll show up.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. We'll call a sponsor.
Absolutely.
So Ryan, before we go, do you have anything to plug?
Follow me on Twitter. RyanHammer09, and then everywhere else is RyanHammer9. No 0. I got juked on Twitter. Some guy who hasn't tweeted in 10 years stole my ad, so.
Don't follow Ryan for his basketball stuff. Follow him for his soccer stuff.
Yeah, that's true. When the World Cup comes around, people don't know that I used to play soccer. Like I never played competitive basketball, and they get surprised and stuff like that. But that's okay because they'll learn eventually.
It's gonna be fun having the World Cup in the winter.
It's gonna be weird, right? Imagine you were in like high school where. I would have to watch. You'd have to watch during class. Oh, it starts Thanksgiving and then it goes to winter. Okay, but still, you have to like watch during school and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I'm gonna fail on my finals. I really am. It's gonna be college basketball season and the World Cup. I'm not passing a single class.
I might just take a month of PTO days from work. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Thank you to everybody for listening. Be sure to throw us a rating on Spotify if you're on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. all that good stuff. Follow us on TikTok and Twitter at GymRangePod. Once again, thank you to Ryan for coming on. See you guys later.